Hello, beautiful people. I am Mary Jane. Welcome to Net Voices. Today's story time about marriage. Marriage can be beautiful when you're married to the right person, someone kind, loving, respectful, and your values align. No secrets, no lies. Some people get married and it doesn't work out the way they hope it will. They find themselves in a mess, which is a bit difficult to get out of. It's not easy, depending on who you're married to, how much headache they're going to give you when you decide no more. Here's a footage of people sharing their stories about their marriages.
This is a story I never thought I would tell, but something is telling me that this will help somebody out there because I know I'm not the first or the last person to go through something like this. People say my dating stories are crazy or this doesn't happen, and trust me, nobody wishes that these things didn't happen to me more than I do. Here's what happened. So I was 8 months pregnant. I woke up in the morning and something told me to check his phone. I had never had this feeling before. So I listened to it, and while he was in the bathroom, I checked his phone. I look at his recent apps that were open and I see email, and I didn't think I was going to find anything in the email, but I see a confirmation email from Priceline for a hotel for that night. That night we were actually supposed to go to our birthing classes. It's for first time expecting parents. So I'm thinking that's a strange day to have a hotel that you never told me about. I was smart enough in the moment to screenshot it and text it to myself. This was in 2019 before AirDrop. So I go to work as normal, and while I'm at work, I decide to start doing some digging. I log into our T-Mobile account and I see all kinds of texts and calls to these random numbers. So I decide to call one of these numbers, and it turns out these are escort services. Up until this point, still no mention to me about a hotel. Act completely normal all day. I finish my workday, gather all my information, and I meet him at our birthing classes that night. And right at the beginning of our birthing classes, he preps me. Something came up with work. I have to leave the birthing classes early tonight. I'm like, no problem. Totally. If you have to leave, I totally understand. So halfway through the birthing classes, he leaves me there by myself. I think we can all guess where he was going. So I finished my birthing class as normal because I want that information, okay? I'm about to give birth to this baby. I pull up the address for the hotel and I drive there. I didn't know if my plan was going to work. I go up to the front desk and show the woman my confirmation email. My husband booked a hotel room and he forgot to give me a key. He's not answering his phone. Can you give me a key? And she says yes. I'm 8 months pregnant at this point. My belly was out to here, okay? I was a big pregnant girl, big girl. I take me and my belly up the stairs, I go to the door, and I'm holding the key and I can't put it in the door. I got scared. While I'm standing at the door with the key, hand is shaking, I hear noises. You know what kind of noises I'm hearing. You know. My maternal instinct kicked in. What if I confront them, and what if he hurts me, or what if she hurts me? What if everybody freaks out? I don't know. So I decide on a different plan. I need proof. He's not going to gaslight his way out of this. So I go to the end of the hallway where the stairwell is, and I keep the door propped open just enough where I can see the entrance of his hotel room. While I'm peeking through the door, eventually I see her come out of the room, and then a few minutes later, I see him come out of the room. I wanted to catch him when he wasn't expecting it. I go out to the parking lot. He's actually in my car because we switched cars that day, so he had the nerve to go to a hotel in my car. Can you believe that? I go around to the passenger side. He's still looking at his phone. Knock, knock, knock. And this man looks up. Halula, what are you doing here? Oh my gosh, this is crazy. And me catching him in this hotel room with this escort was just the beginning of what I came to find out this man was up to for the 2.5 years that we were married. If you're married or in a relationship and your gut instinct is telling you that something is wrong, or to check something, or to look into something, don't ignore it. I truly believe that was God trying to show me what this man was up to because he was trying to get me out of this marriage. I carried so much shame about that marriage for so long. I didn't even tell my friends or my family what happened, but I have grown so much over the years and have learned that these were his actions, and the only person who should feel shame is him. If you ever have that sinking feeling, don't ignore it.
So yes, my husband had an affair. I never wanted to come to social media with this. I have honestly just been giving it to God and going to therapy, but let's go ahead and address this comment. At the start of the year, my husband came to me and told me that a woman reached out to him on Twitter asking for help with her business. I don't know what it was about the woman. My husband has worked with many other women before this. It was just something about this woman that I was like, babe, I don't know about this. Something just doesn't feel right. And lo and behold, my intuition was correct. Said business relationship ended up transpiring into something more. When I found out that it was transpiring into something more, I fought my husband on this. I tried to get my husband to understand that what was going on was not right, and that he was opening a door for him to fall into a sin that was so much bigger than what he was already committing. And because he was not hearing me, I left my home in the middle of the night, pregnant, with nothing. And it all spiraled out of control. And maybe this is where my downfall comes into play, because maybe had I not left from the house, maybe had I fought my husband a little bit harder than I had already been fighting, this relationship would not have advanced in the way it did. My husband sought comfort in this woman. She was giving him something that I was not giving him in those moments. I was definitely being quarrelsome because I just was trying to pound into his head, like, you're gonna fall, you're being tempted and you're going to fall. When I left, he fell. Now, I cannot speak on that. That is not my testimony to speak on. And I'm just gonna leave that there. In that, I decided to stand for my marriage still, and I decided to go with reconciliation rather than divorce. I never defended my husband when it came to him having said affair. I fought my husband. Like I said, I left my house 20 weeks pregnant in the middle of the night with nothing but the clothes on my back because I was so against what was going on. I don't use godly character to hide any darkness. I speak on all the time how my marriage is not perfect. I am not a perfect person. I do use godly character in sense of extending forgiveness to my husband, extending grace to my husband, as well as the woman who was involved with the affair. I did speak to her. I spoke to her on the situation. I told her how I wanted nothing more in life but to be a wife and a mom, and how I felt like that was being attacked. I spoke life into her. I told her that she was a beautiful woman, and I didn't understand how, we were falling into what we were falling into. My husband does not abuse me. You may have seen me and my husband arguing. My husband and I were arguing as a result of the affair that was going on between you and him. But to say that my husband abuses me is a little bit extensive. And lastly, to say that I have no identity outside of my husband, I just gained one of the biggest identities that I could have possibly ever imagined. I am trying to navigate this journey of motherhood while also being a wife, and it's one of the things that I prayed for so hard, and I just feel like it's been taken away from me just because of this whole scandal. I feel like I've honestly just been living in a vortex. This literally began at the start of the year, and it's currently almost the end of the year, and here I am being harassed by this woman because my husband told her that he had to cut off the affair. As soon as the affair was cut off, it just spiraled into us being these horrible people and saying that we're trying to grow. Yes, we are trying to grow. Yes, we are trying to grow. We are trying to become stronger in our marriage, and I'm trying to, it's just so much. Just so many allegations that are being made and so many lies that are being spewed from the numerous accounts that have been harassing me that this woman has been making. And I'm just tired. I'm so tired of my character being attacked because I decided to reconcile my marriage. I'm so tired of my character being attacked because I decided to be forgiving and I decided to extend grace. And honestly, I am just ready to lay this all to bed. My husband had an affair. It was decided on to go the route of reconciliation. However, with that being the route that we chose, I don't think that it's fair that I'm being harassed. The numerous calls, the numerous emails, the fake accounts that are demoralizing my character, I just don't think it's fair, and that's just that.
I deported my husband back to Africa due to what he did to me. You need to hear me out before you judge me. The fact that his family has the nerve to call me the most evil person, the most heartless person they've ever met on earth is actually mind-blowing. Story time. So I've been married to my husband for 15 good years now. 15 good years. I'm the one that brought him into this country. And now, looking back, all the signs, the red flags, it says it all. The reason why I was approached in the first place was only and purely because of documentation for him to get into this country. Anyway, like I said, we've been married. I've met his family, not in person, via video call. He introduced me to his mum, his dad, his brothers, and one sister he's got. So I thought. And this sister, I have been sending her money. I ring her anytime we have issues. She would advise me what to do. Fast forward, my husband came home one day, distraught. He was in tears. And I asked him what the problem is. He knelt on the ground and he started pleading with me. He said to me that he's really sorry. He doesn't really know what made him do this, but he has got something he needs to confess to me. I told him that I'm listening. He started off by telling me that he has been having this affair with this woman closer to 8 years, and they have got a child together. Bearing in mind, we have been married for 15 good years, and he kept telling me that I should hold off for having children for now so that we will invest in the businesses, properties back home. And now you are telling me that you've been having an affair and you have got a child outside of our marriage. He told me everything about this woman. I didn't say anything. I felt numb. I felt betrayed. I couldn't understand where I went wrong for him to actually betray me like this. Anyway, I searched for this woman, and God being wonderful, I found her on social media. I sent her a DM, and she replied back. Not straight away, it took a while, but she replied back. I explained everything. It was as if this woman was waiting for my message somehow. So she took my contact details and she rang me. She started telling me how my husband has been deceiving the both of us. I shouted. I went, what do you mean the both of us? She said, did I know that the girl that I've been contacting back home, whom my husband claims to be his sister, is actually his wife? They've been married 2 years before we got married. So she's actually his legal wife and not me. I could not believe what I was hearing on the phone. I asked what is going on and how she found out. And she said he lied to her and he promised her marriage. But somehow she managed to find messages and my number on his phone. She then threatened him to contact me and she was going to expose all his lies, because this woman was severely angry for what my husband did to her. Hence the reason why he came home and he started confessing, because he didn't want her to reach out to me and tell me about his wife back home. Fact is that I was lost. I had to hang up the phone call. I contacted my lawyer. I contacted a few people and I did what I needed to do, ready for him to be deported back home where he was. So I waited. He was served the papers and he came crawling, he came begging, telling me that it is not true. That woman lied to me. I rang his family and I asked them why they did this to me. They were saying that they didn't know how to break the news to me because I wouldn't accept being a second wife. So they had to just play along. I got contact with his family. Now, I'm getting different numbers ringing me almost every day, telling me that it's just something small. So how can I be so heartless? How can I be so evil? How can I be so mean just for something that small? Asking them to deport my husband back home. It got to a point that I stopped answering phone calls for numbers that I do not know or recognize. So for now, he's back to where he belongs. Some people are telling me that I should have just let him go and just move on. That way God will bless me. But sometimes the pain is too much to just brush away.
My husband wasn't feeling well and he asked me to take him to the hospital. So, helped him outside. We got in his car and I drove him straight to the side chick's house. I got there, ran up to the door, knocked the door. She opened the door. She's like, excuse me, may I help you? I said, hey, my brother, you've been dating my brother. He's in the car. Your brother who? I said, my brother Benedict. She was like, oh, what's wrong with him? I said, he's sick. He's been at my house, but, I got to go do my double shift today. And he's not in a good shape. So he just asked me to bring him over here. Do you mind helping me in your house? Can you take care of him? Can you, you're my sister-in-law. We family. Can you just do this? I'll pick him up. But just for tonight and tomorrow, just for the whole weekend. I have a really, busy schedule this weekend. She said, oh, okay. She helped me. We took him in her place. And I took an Uber and went home. Not work. You sick. and you got side chick. How the only one supposed to take care of you? Apparently, since he was so sick, she found out that he was married and I was actually the wife. I don't know how that came about, but she found out, and she put him outside. And then he started texting me, telling me that we are married for better or for worse. And in his worst situation, this is how I'm going to treat him. I was like, why is she in your life if she's not going to help take care of you? Call your mama, because no, I'm not doing this by myself. It's going to be me, your mama, and the side chick. I hung up my phone. I turned it off. Eventually, he called his mom. His mom picked him up, and she gonna call me talking about, why would you do that to your husband? I know he has done you wrong, but you literally abandoned him. I said, no, I didn't. If he's going to be seeing that chick need to help take care of him too. But that is to show that she's only in there for what he can stick between her legs. So for now, you take care of him, because the burden is too much. If she can't take care of him, you can help with your own child too. But he's not going to be seeing other women. And then when he's sick, I'm the only one taking care of him to make him get better so that he can go back and put the work in with the side chick. I don't think so. I said, I'm sorry, I love you, mama. But as far as his health goes right now, I am not carrying that burden by myself. I'm sorry, I gotta go.
2 years postpartum, I got pregnant again. My husband did not want the baby. In fact, he was infuriated that I was pregnant. This was unplanned. We didn't wake up and say, let's have children, but at the same time, we were married and we were not doing anything to prevent a pregnancy. So he stopped talking to me for 3 weeks after I found out I was pregnant. He ignored me. He would go to sleep. He would turn his back. He essentially stonewalled me as I was going through a difficult prenatal period. After 3 weeks of not speaking to me, he then traveled out of the country for 3 additional weeks. At this point, it was COVID. COVID was happening, and so I went for my first doctor's visit, and I'll never forget this day. I got my ultrasound results, and unfortunately, my child did not make it. The OB physician who gave me the bad news, unfortunately, could not hug me because it was during COVID. And so I sat in that very cold room, sat on top of the bed, and I just wept. I cried. Even though the marriage was lost at this point, I truly wanted that baby. And it is a grief I cannot begin to explain. I had a miscarriage before I had my now current daughter, and it was not a pleasant experience. And so I opted to have a D&C with this miscarriage. I went through the D&C alone. It was during COVID, and so your family cannot come in and wait with you. And so I was dropped off at the door of the hospital. I went into my surgery, came out, and I was picked up. My husband said, sorry, you've been through this before. It's gonna be okay. Sorry. I needed more compassion. I needed more physical touch. But at that moment, I knew that the marriage was over. My husband and I were on 2 different pages. This marriage was not going to last, and this was the final straw. Some of you may say, oh my gosh, you were 2 years. Does that even count as postpartum? Some people define postpartum as only 12 weeks. Some people define postpartum as 12 months. But the reality is that a lot of what is happening in a woman after she gives birth can linger for a few years after she gives birth. So I had postpartum depression, correct? I struggled through marital issues. I struggled through a lot of physical changes. And unfortunately, because of the things that were going on in my life, my marriage, my depression carried on. And this particular story, I think, was the catalyst event that allowed me to see that this marriage was not serving me and it was not what my ex-husband wanted. At this point, I was in therapy, and I had been in therapy since I was having issues with breastfeeding. And so I was able to navigate this very difficult time with a strength that I never knew I had. When I finally filed my divorce, my ex-husband, my husband at the time, was very upset. So much so upset that he left the state. And now I was left to take care of my 2-year-old by myself. But fortunately for me, I had family, I had friends, and by the grace of God, I made it through a very, very difficult time. And I made it through that time because of all the work that I was doing in therapy. This is the end of a series where I talk about times that made my depression worse. But the next video I'm gonna make, I'm just gonna provide my learning points and the systems that helped me get through this very difficult time and get through the trauma that I faced. And in hopes that it may help you. If any of these stories have resonated with you, send me a message, send me a like or comment below. We need to share our stories because I know I'm not the only one who has risen in the face of pain. I am not the only one who has conquered some very challenging situations. My name is Dr. Choa. I am a postpartum physician in Atlanta, Georgia. And please follow me, share this video with somebody. Thank you for stopping by. Take care.
Am I the asshole for having 4 children for my sister's husband? So a few years ago, many eons ago, I was really young. And my parents, they were tired of my shenanigans. Like, they got real tired of me because I used to do a lot of shit. Yeah, I was real adventurous and all of that. Anyways, so they got tired of me and they basically kicked me out. I had nowhere else to go. I would have called all of my friends and some family members who didn't allow me to stay at their home. Until I called my big sister. She's the oldest of 8 children. She would have allowed me to come and stay with her because she had a spare bedroom. And it was just her and her husband and the children that they have together, which are my nieces and nephews. Yeah. So while staying there, about a year, everything was fine until one day we were all at the dinner table and I noticed her husband was looking at me some sort of way. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I always find him to be like an extremely handsome older man, right? Like, the older he got, he was just getting more sexy. Anyways, so I noticed he was looking at me consistently around the dinner table. And in my mind at that time, I was like, I wonder why he's looking at me like that. Like, am I projecting my feelings? I don't understand. But, soon enough, I grew to understand. One day he approached me and he asked me how I felt about him and if I believe that him and I could work out. So at first I was like real apprehensive about it because you're my sister's husband and you all already have children together. Well, he kept being persistent. He was extremely persistent. Until one day I gave in and then, we started linking wherever. We're talking for a while. And one day he came out and he told me, well, I'm thinking about divorcing your sister because I never really loved her. But I could see myself loving you forever. Well, y'all, my head got dizzy and I fell for this. And a few months after, my sister came to me. She was crying and tell me, well, her husband, Frankie, he served her divorce papers and she doesn't know where this came out from and she just feels like it's another woman. I felt bad. I felt bad because she came to me and she was crying and I saw my sister going through so much heartbreak, and I was a bit confused as to what to do. I'm more or less about to destroy her entire life. I spoke to her husband at that time about it and he was like, nah, fuck that shit. It's you I want. So here we are. Years later, we have children together and we got married about a year after he divorced my sister. We've been married ever since, and my sister and we have not spoken to each other since the day she found out that I am with her husband, and it made it even worse when I got married to him. A lot of the family members showed up to the wedding, surprisingly, and they were in support of it. But obviously my sister and the children, my nieces and nephews, they did not attend, and I haven't spoken to any of them since. Yeah. Am I the asshole?
I believe in marriage. It feels good to know there's someone there for you in good and bad times. They've got your back, you've got theirs as well. You grow and you evolve together. It's beautiful. I also believe in divorce. It's there for a reason. Most of the women that share their stories in this video have a valid reason for their actions. The 8-month pregnant woman that caught her husband with an escort, I thought that was heartbreaking. She was carrying his baby. He couldn't keep it together for a few months. A lot of men cheat on their wife when they're pregnant, and that's no good. The other woman that took her husband to the side chick's house, I thought that was fair. It can be for only good times. She can look after him when he's sick as well. Fair on both sides. Most of the women, their actions, you could tell it's coming from a place of, I've had enough. I understand what humans will make mistakes sometimes. You can work on whatever issues you're having, but you can't cheat, lie, and betray your partner and hope they're not going to react. It doesn't work that way. When they've had enough, divorce is there for that. What do you all think? What are your thoughts? Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share.